Hi everyone, Queeveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are yet again looking forward into the coming month of June. Of course, we are very close to June now, so we're not looking too far into the future, just forward to the 13th of June. Just like the video before last, we are looking forward to see an event that has been indicated to me by someone who watches the videos. We're going to take a quick look over into the western sky at sunset just to see if we can see it. It doesn't look like we are seeing anything involving the moon here from Ireland. So we've got Mercury, Jupiter and Venus are just behind the trees. So we still have this collection of planets coming up. There's the moon, just visible at sunrise. So we'll move forward to sunrise to see if we can catch what we are supposed to catch then. Based on the location of the moon relative to the sun, they are pretty close together. That means from here in Ireland, at the angle at which we see the sun rising, it's going to be pretty difficult for us to see, well, there's the moon. It's going to be difficult for us to see the moon with any stars in the sky, simply because the glow of sunset is so prominent, even here at a little after 4 o'clock, 4:15 in the morning. But looking forward here, this is to the 14th, we'll move back to the 13th. The moon is a little further from the sun, we'll move back a little bit further. It's still difficult for us to see any stars from our location here in Ireland. But there are the Pleiades. This is what we're looking for, an occultation of the Pleiades by the moon. And we can see from here in Ireland, well, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to see it. If we get rid of the ground here, and we will follow the moon forward in time, there we go. So this is going to occur while it is daytime for us here in Ireland. We'll get rid of the atmosphere so that we can still see the Pleiades. And here comes an occultation of the Pleiades by the moon. Only a little bit, at least from our latitude here. The moon is only covering a small portion of the Pleiades, but there it is. The moon is definitely passing the Pleiades. And with the moon being this narrow of a crescent, it wouldn't contribute too much light. Usually if the full moon or the nearly full moon occults the Pleiades or even has a close conjunction with the Pleiades, the light of the moon blocks out some of the Pleiades, especially in a light polluted sky. It becomes very difficult to see the seven sisters with the added light of the moon. However, like this, with the moon being such a narrow crescent, it wouldn't contribute too much light. But when the moon is this kind of narrow crescent, that means it's pretty close to the sun, which means the Pleiades, definitely from latitudes like ours here in Ireland, are going to be blocked out by the glow of the sun, regardless of the presence of the moon. We've moved forward to, well, the afternoon for us here in Ireland, so if we bring back the clouds and we bring back the land, well, that's where that occultation is happening. The crescent moon isn't even visible because it is too narrow of a crescent. But the occultation is happening. We don't get to see it from here in Ireland, but thankfully a viewer of these videos commented a location where this is visible. Based on the way this occultation is, I'd say it will be visible from a reasonably broad area, but we have been given specific instructions as to where to look. So we're going for 39,953 there. In longitude, we're traveling much further, which makes sense because this was visible occurring for us close to 4 o'clock in the day. We're going to have to travel pretty far around the world to put ourselves back to a sunrise sky. 54 and 38. So here we go, 39 degrees north. Here we go. We're now on the northwest coast of North America, up in the nearly in the Pacific Northwest. I think it's tough to tell with such a small map. Here the sun has already risen. We are closer to the equator than we are here in Ireland, though not by much. Hopefully it is enough for the Pleiades to be visible. They may not be visible a little bit. They are a little bit visible from a city sky, just as the occultation is happening. So there's the sun rising and the moon sliding right in front of the Pleiades. From the city with the naked eye, especially given how low in the sky the Pleiades are, it is going to be difficult. If we pop out to a countryside sky, then the Pleiades should be nice and clear. The crescent moon is only a narrow crescent, so it's not producing so much light as to obscure the Pleiades like a full moon would. And we can see the moon sliding in front of the Pleiades, or the seven sisters there, reaching this occultation just as the sun is getting bright enough to block the Pleiades from view. So, thankfully, thanks to the commentator who indicated where this would be visible from, this does seem to be the best place to see it. We can see the occultation as it's happening. We can see the moon next to the Pleiades and then in front of the Pleiades. However, I believe this should matter more in the case of longitude rather than latitude. But then again, there's not much more land at this longitude. If we moved further north, then the angle at which the sun was rising would make this more difficult to see. So let's demonstrate that first before we go anywhere else. Let's bring the sun back down to rising, and we can see that the sky is essentially bright for the entire time that the moon is above the horizon. So that means we're not going to get to see the Pleiades while the sun is rising from there. We'll try to stay at about the right longitude and come down in latitude. This, of course, puts us off the coast of Central America here. This should be close enough. 123 is close enough to 122 for me, and it should be close enough for this occultation to be visible. Let's turn back a little bit here, closer to the east, which is where everything should rise. There's Saturn. Now that we are closer to the equator, there's Mars. Great. There's the moon, and it is rising with the Pleiades, but let's see if the angle at which we're seeing them. It does seem that the moon is now not passing in front of the Pleiades. We may be just at slightly the wrong longitude. We might just be a little bit off, and it seems like a little bit is enough to make a difference here. So let's change our location. The moon is very close to the Pleiades, and they are up in darkness together. Let's move back just a tiny little bit in this direction, which should hopefully make things visible for a little bit longer. There we go. So there is the moon just about occulting the Pleiades from that longitude as well. It does look like, although this is visible over a reasonably large amount of the Earth, only a very small amount of the Earth where this is visible actually has land on it. So we'll hop back to around here. We'll try and go a little bit lower, just a little bit different, a slightly different location. And there's the moon still continuing to occult the Pleiades. So it looks like anywhere along the Pacific Northwest coast of the United States, this is going to be visible. It should be visible at least in the United States, maybe a little bit across the border into Canada, but as you move further north in Canada, the angle of the ecliptic at sunrise will block it out. So it is really from a fairly small area before the land starts to deviate away from the line of longitude where this is visible. So this is an event that I probably wouldn't have known about if I wasn't informed by a commentator. The Pacific Northwest coast of North America is so far from where I am that I may not have known about this unless I was told. Again, this is from the countryside, so we will very quickly pop back into a city sky just to compare what this view is more likely to be like for anyone who is actually lucky enough to catch it. Given how difficult the Pleiades can be to see from the city, especially extincted by the atmosphere, I would recommend using binoculars to check this out. So this is sunrise on the 13th of June, and there is the crescent moon occulting the Pleiades as it would be visible from the Pacific Northwest coast of North America. So I hope that a few of you out there get a chance to see this in real life. I won't. As we demonstrated right at the start, this happens in the middle of the day for us here in Ireland. It still happens. It's still technically happening all around the world, but just not visible to us. It is out there. We can just about see the moon, even though it is a very faint crescent, and they are the Pleiades getting occulted by it during the middle of the day for us. So I won't get to see it, but now we've all seen it here in this video, and I hope that you enjoyed the view. If you did like this video, then please do like it, and if you enjoy this kind of content, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you would like to read this information written down, you can do so on my website, queevinscontent.ie. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here next time.